Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, Say What's Real TV. This review is the mid-season finale for Tyler Perry's Sistas, Season 7, Episode 11, Gone Girl. So we open up the episode in Gary's office. As we remember from last week, Penelope went in with a battery in her back trying to confront Gary about Kimberly Potter, and we saw what the results were. He threw her to the ground, and all we saw was blood on the floor. So we don't know exactly what happened to Penelope, but here we are. We see Gary has a cleanup crew in his office led by a guy named Dagger. So Gary, he's wanting to know how much longer is this going to take. And Dagger looks at him like, look, you know a thorough job takes some time. This is not our first rodeo, which lets us, the audience, know that Gary is nothing to be played with. He's done this before. The question is, how many times, how many bodies does he have? Has he been rolling with Dagger since the Kimberly Potter days? This man is running around free as a bird with the FBI on his head and has never been caught for anything, apparently, and it's quite amazing. This man is off the chain. We need a backstory on Mr. Gary Borders. So Dagger, he's over there trying to low-key get information from Gary. He's like, looks like you've been a messy boy this time. Gary took offense to the boy comment, and he's like, oh, my bad, Gary. So they do know each other on some type of personal level if he knows his real name is Gary. So Dagger was like, well, what did you say happened here again? And Gary was like, I didn't. I need you to just go ahead and get this stuff cleaned up quick and in a hurry and rid this mess of this ungrateful bee. Now, one thing I find interesting, in the last episode, Gary was talking to Hudson and he was like, we need to go ahead and make that happen as to whether they needed to get rid of someone. And he mentioned the she. We don't know if the she was Penelope, the girl that he paid off for Jordan, or was it Andy? Now, the thing with Penelope, this was really kind of like a freak accident type thing. He didn't set out to do anything to her. He gave her ample opportunity to leave his office. It just so happened, you know, she got in his face and he knocked her to the ground. So it really wasn't like a planned attack type thing on Penelope. So by this happening, does that negate the plans that him and Hudson had if it was Penelope? Or will the plan still be in motion to get rid of Andy or the girl he paid off to set up Jordan? So we go over there to Jordan's. Him and Andy, they're on the sofa. She sleep. She wakes up all frantic, having this nightmare. And she says she heard a woman screaming. She saw a lot of blood. She never actually says that the woman was Penelope at all. So basically, she's probably just having this prophetic dream of what we know to have happened over there at Gary's office. So it's the next morning and we see Andy over at the law firm sitting on cloud nine, feeling good, looking good, speaking to everybody that she comes in contact with because Jordan done blew her back out the night before. So Andy, she then runs into Fatima. They chop it up a bit about her good mood, and she calls Jordan her new chiropractor because he's over there cracking her back. So after Fatima got all the details, she then decides to tell Andy that Miss Marie Willis was waiting in her office for her. So then the camera pans to the office. We see Miss Marie with her arms folded like a parent that's waiting for their child to sneak back in the house. Like, get your behind up in here. So Andy telling Fatima, like, girl, you should have led with that. Like, why didn't you say something? So, of course, she's nervous and she goes into the office and she greets her. And Miss Marie is like, you know, you're late. They don't have an appointment, but, you know, she's late for what we don't know. So she starts digging into Andy's behind, letting her know, like, once again, I don't live on anyone else's schedule. That's one of the many things you're going to have to learn about me. And she's there because she wants to know about her case. Now, that's all cool and dandy, but there's a way to do everything. First of all, I like Miss Marie's character, but I feel like she was doing a bit much in this particular scene. First of all, it's too early in the morning for all that all of that demanding and talking to people all crazy. And Andy, I'm going to need you to stop acting all scared every time somebody says something to you. Yes, she is a bit intimidating, but you're going to have to get a backbone at some point. All this talk about you being this fierce attorney, no ma'am. You are no Annalise Keating. No ma'am. Stand up for yourself and stop being so damn mousy all the time. So we go over there to the bank. We see Sabrina call Karen. They chop it up for a bit, and she's basically calling because she wants all the girls to get together and meet up at Rich's Juice Bar and have some mocktails. So then they bring up Danny because they know Danny loves to drink and she's not going to really be with all of that. And Sabrina was like, well, you're pregnant, expecting my little baby. And at this point, I'm like, why did she say my little baby when she already knows that Karen is having twins? So that was weird. Then she says she can't drink because of the whole hormone treatment that she's going through. And she says, well, Danny will be all right because she'll just have to suffer in solidarity with the rest of them. So Karen says suffering in solidarity should be the name of their group, and she is okay with the whole mocktail get together for later on. Sabrina says she will be the one to text everybody and let them know what's going on. And before Sabrina could get off the phone, Karen tries to confirm that it's just going to be them, the sister circle, and that Fatima is not going to be invited. So Sabrina is like, well, what's wrong with Fatima? Then Karen goes on this little mini rant like, oh, not you. First Andy, then Danny, now it's you. Like, what is up with this girl that everybody wants to bring her around me? And before they could really dive deep into that conversation, India pops up in her doorway, and she actually confronts her about being on a personal phone call on company time. Sabrina does admit that she was on a personal call, and India says, well, I hope you're not going to be doing all that now that you are Brookhaven's branch manager, so she got the position. So India, she congratulates Sabrina, and she tells her that she deserves it. And knowing what we find out later on in the episode, we realize India is a damn liar, okay? But in this moment, Sabrina, she is overwhelmed with joy. She's excited. She starts tearing up, and she basically just thanks India. So then we see Karen take it upon herself to call Danny, which I'm not quite sure why she did that, because Sabrina made it clear she would notify everybody. And why did you call Danny and not Andy? So when Danny answers the phone, the first thing comes out her mouth is, have you found out who your baby daddy was yet? Now, if I was in Karen's situation, me and Danny would be arguing about that. Like, I feel that needs to be addressed like ASAP. I want to know why you keep coming at my neck about who my baby daddy is and you're my friend. What is it to you who my baby daddy is and we are friends? Like, I don't understand what that's about. So Karen was like, well, who wants to know, you or your new best friend, Fatima? So they go into this whole little back and forth about who's being loyal, this and that and the other. So Karen feels like Andy and Danny are being disloyal every time they hang out with Fatima. And Danny had to let her know they are grown and they are allowed to have friends outside of the circle. So Karen posed the question, how would you feel if I was friends and hanging out with Tony's ex-wife? Danny didn't have a problem with that. She didn't give a damn. So then Karen posed the question, how would you feel if I was hanging out with Preston's new wife, the one that he married in spite of being in love with you? All of a sudden, you can hear a rat pissing on cotton. Danny didn't have anything to say, so she basically said, look, Karen, let me get off this phone before I curse you out and lose my job. So Karen told her, look, I'm not done. Sabrina wants to do mocktails, but it's only for the girls, no Fatima. So something clicked in Danny, and she was like, look, let me tell you something. You done got pregnant, and you think you everybody mama, but I'm a grown-ass woman, and if I want to invite Fatima anywhere, you best believe I'm going to do it. Bye. So she hangs up in Karen's face, and Karen is shocked and appalled. Like, how dare she hang up in my face? She calls her a B, right? So Pam was over in the cut taking it all in. So she goes over there to check on Karen, and Karen dismisses her like she always does. And then she thought about it and she apologized. So then now Pam is shocked, like, oh, you rarely apologize to me. And then Karen thought about it like, hey, why don't you hang out with me later on after work? And Pam was like, no problem, it's gonna go down. And Karen says, you have no idea. Basically, she's just using Pam to take with her for backup and support for what may go down over there at Fuel later. So we go over there to the law firm. We see Zach yet again at this law firm because he has absolutely nothing else to do. We don't know where Michael is. I guess he is in one of his many therapy sessions, okay? Because nobody mentions where Michael is. So he's bringing Fatima lunch. She's in the conference room full of windows where everybody and their mama can see her, but she's worried that Zach could have been one of the partners or Hayden catching her studying on company time. Make that make sense. But anyway, so she gets a phone call from Danny basically inviting her to hang out with the girls for the little mocktail event over at Fuel. Now, we know Danny did this out of spite because now she's upset with Karen. for trying to tell her what she can and cannot do, who she can and cannot hang with, and for throwing that little dig at her about Preston. Now, I feel like had Karen allowed Sabrina to handle her business and text and call everybody with the information, none of this would have taken place. She took it upon herself to call Danny and upset Danny, putting her in petty mode and basically saying, you don't tell me what to do. This is what I'm going to do. So now she's going to use Fatima the same way Karen over there using Pam. Because otherwise, I don't think Fatima was on anybody's radar until Karen brought it up. So while Fatima's getting all the details, she realizes that Karen is going to be there, and she's like, I don't think she's going to want me there. Now, she knows in the back of her mind this is not a good idea. Danny's on the phone trying to push the issue like, don't worry about Karen. You're my friend. You're Andy's friend. We want you there type thing. And she's still reluctant, as she should be. And she tells Danny, I'll think about it. So they hang up. So Zach then tries to tell her she should go to the mocktail and that her and Karen need to get used to being around each other because sharing friends could be like a truce. Now, one thing about Zach, he's wishy-washy. When Fatima hung out with them that first little brunch she went to that we actually saw on camera, when she got home, he didn't want her going back hanging with them again. Now, all of a sudden, he wants them to have one big kumbaya. So Fatima, she tells him, look, I love your optimism and all, but SWV and Escape will have to co-headline together before her and Karen would make up, basically saying it'll be a cold day in hell. So with that being said, I wish Fatima had stuck to her guns and not gone in the first place. And while we're on Zach, I'm going to go ahead and get him out of the way because he really didn't play a major factor in this particular episode. We only get one quick scene with him later on, actually with Michael. They're having a father-son bonding moment, which was really cute. They were playing together and he actually started reading to him. And Michael was laughing and having a good time with his dad. So we go back over there to the law firm. We see Andy and Miss Marie walking down the hall. Looks like Miss Marie has calmed down a bit. She's talking a little more, with some sense and stuff. And Andy's telling her they're going over her husband's finances with a fine-tooth comb, and she's appreciative of that. But when Andy mentions this gag order, she becomes bored and really doesn't want to hear anything else that Andy has to say, and that she knew that she needed a co-counsel. So as always, we see Hayden creeping up from behind, always talking about, oh, I couldn't help but over here type thing. So he then mentions how Miss Marie was in danger of losing a sizable portion of her estate. So he had her ears then. She wanted to hear what he had to say. So Hayden basically let Miss Marie know that he did his homework and research, and he went over the pre- and post-nuptial agreements that her husband originally signed years ago, and realized that there was some clause put in place where the husband couldn't touch anything long as you had a competent lawyer that would enforce those agreements that he originally signed. So with him doing all of that, which of course Andy did not do, Miss Marie was impressed and officially assigned Hayden as Andy's co-counsel on her case. So Andy, she's in disbelief because she just got sideswiped real quick by Hayden. So she's trying to discourage Miss Marie into making that decision. And Miss Marie stood on big business and told both of them, the two of you need to learn how to work together to get my case settled. Otherwise, I'm taking it and going to another law firm along with your healthy commissions. So we go over there to Maurice's house, and he's over there on the phone with Grayson while he's on lunch talking dirty to him. A little phone action. So the thing I'm not liking with the whole Grayson situation is one episode we get a scene of Grayson and he's constantly catching an attitude about something, and then he walks out on Maurice and we never hear why he walked out. We never hear them actually make up. It's just like the stuff never even happened. I'm not feeling that, because if you're going to constantly get an attitude and walk off every 5 minutes, I don't need to be talking to you. But here they are, back in good standing, back like they never left. So in the midst of them role-playing, he gets an actual knock on the door and wonders, did he actually manifest some D? So he hangs up with Grayson and tells him he needs to finish on his own. So Maurice asks Sabrina what was she doing over there. She only get an hour lunch, and Paige was going to rat her out if she's late or whatever. So Sabrina all of a sudden says that she doesn't have to worry about Paige anymore because the rumor is Paige got herself fired for doing weird things with customers. And I don't know, for some reason, the minute she said that, my mind automatically went to when Rich was trying to take Sabrina out back to have sex with her. while they were at work. I was like, interesting. So she tells Maurice the best part about it is she got her position back as branch manager and that India had no choice but to give her the position. So Sabrina knows that she did not actually deserve the position. She got it by default. So then Maurice, he makes a confession that he may or may not have been the one to drop a dime on Paige, saying that she was giving sloppy toppy behind the building with the customers. So my thing is it really true that Paige was doing those things, or was it a lie? Because how could you fire her if it was just hearsay? So I don't understand that part. Now, although I'm glad that Paige is gone, I do feel cheated because I did need to see the look on her face when she realized she didn't get that position, or somebody reading her for filth one good time. I needed to see that, but whatever. So Maurice wants to know, is Sabrina mad about what he did? And she was like, no, I don't think so, but I'm going to do you one better. Well, she does tell him she can kiss him. And he told her, look, I'm strictly D. Keep both of them lips to yourself. So she offers him his job back. We know that's not the proper way for him to get rehired or whatever, but it is what it is. She tells him he doesn't have to do that fixation thing anymore. They're back. They're happy. They're excited. They have a little chant how they're back, bees. And they tell each other they love him. And Sabrina also lets them know, thanks for always having my back. So we head over there to the salon, and Pam, she's trying to get an extra half hour for her lunch break. Karen, of course, is not hearing it at first. She's like, you done horsed around all morning on your live now. What do you need that for? So she's telling her, look, she want to go to the bank to talk to Sabrina. Her attorney that Andy set her up with told her to do this and do that. And she's trying to be like her role model. So Karen is like, well, who's your role model, Pam? So she starts calling out names, Rihanna, Beyonce, Oprah. And Pam was like, look, all those ladies are fabulous, but you are my role model, Karen. The way you build this salon from the fire by yourself with mofo twins, you deserve a cake. So Karen, she starts getting emotional because she's shocked. She's taken aback, like Pam would actually consider her as a role model. So she's actually feeling seen, knowing all the struggle she's been dealing with, and that someone actually considers her like someone to look up to. So, Pam has always really kind of been that for Karen. So it was a good moment that, we don't always get to see a vulnerable side of Karen, and that's what we would like to see more of. So after all of that, Karen decided to let Pam take as much time as she needed to get her accounts in order. So we head over there to Tony's office. Danny, she's in there, and he gives her this gift, basically replacing the fake pearls that she gave Brianna with a set of real pearls. So he puts them on her neck or whatever, and of course, they do what they do best, and that's have sex in his office. Apparently, he sent Miss Barbara home so they can get busy. Now, I'm waiting on the time frame where all these girls are going to come back pregnant because nobody's using protection, and they constantly hunching every other minute. So back over there at the law firm, Andy, she's over there hotter than fish grease when Fatima comes in there to check on her, and she tells her how Hayden wormed his way into being her co-counsel. So Hayden comes popping in the door as usual, talking about, should my ears be burning? And Fatima says no, but Tamara's coochie should. So the two of them, they start going back and forth, and Hayden tells Fatima she can go. He needs to talk to his co-counsel. So Fatima getting ready to get in her bout it mode, and Andy had to pause that and ask her to give them a moment, leave the room so she can talk to Hayden. So once Fatima leaves, he's like, well, catch me up on this Willis divorce case. And Andy really doesn't want to be bothered with Hayden. She's like, what are you up to? So the two of them, their usual banter, they go back and forth. And the bottom line was, Andy told them they're only going to name one partner. Hayden told her, well, it won't be you. And at least she has something to fall back on, and that was being a politician's wife since Jordan got cleared. Hayden walked out, left Andy sitting there heated. So we go over there to Jordan's house, and we're being introduced to a new character by the name of Ethan Kerr. He is being interviewed by Jordan to join his city councilman team. So he comes in, and Jordan gets to rambling off the stuff that was on his resume that he read and how he was in the military, this and that and the other. The guy says he just wants to be part of the solution. He doesn't want to be part of the problem. He made sure to let Jordan know that he marched with the Black Lives Matter movement for at least 2 years. Like, okay, child, whatever. So Jordan apologized to him for interviewing at his home because the reporters were still at the office. So he was like, I commend you for how you handled that whole thing. And then Jordan brought up his partner. And then Ethan was like, your partner. So I don't know if he was thinking like partner as in a male. And Jordan had to show him the picture like, yes, Andy Barnes. She's great, blah, blah, blah. You know, you're going to love her. So Ethan is like, so does that mean I have the job? He told him you had the job before you even walked in the door. And I'm like, see, Jordan, that's why the girl was able to say what she said about you, because you and your sister Penelope, y'all are just alike. You're just alike. You know doggone well somebody is after you. You know somebody put that girl on you, so why wouldn't you do an extensive background check? Reading his resume was not good enough, okay? So just like we had to tell your sister, whatever happens to you, that's on you, because y'all don't think fat meat is greasy. So in the very next scene, we go over there to Gary's office, and Hudson, he comes in. Gary's like, you better have some good news for me. Hudson says, I'm getting ready to find out. So his phone rings, he answers, and on the other line is Ethan's ass. So Ethan, he lets Hudson know that he is in there like swimwear, and just like that, Jordan has been set up once again. And we see Gary and Hudson reveling in the fact that they are going to destroy Jordan's career from the inside out. So we go over there to Fuel, and Rich and Sabrina are there, and he's having her taste test some of the different mocktails that he came up with. So, you know, they start smooching. He's all on her neck, and I'm like, baby, that's a weak spot. So anyway, he pulls out this box, and he gives her this nice briefcase that she's actually been looking at. So she's thanking him and asking him, what did she do to deserve him? And I'm like, when are you guys going to get back to that whole kid situation? Because it's like we totally swept that under the rug. Now everybody over there falling in love and all this and that. And before you know it, everybody's going to be caught up, and it's going to be a little too late. So Danny, she comes in and she starts teasing him about all that kissing they were doing and saying that they were going to scare the customers away. And Rich told her it's all good because he has the place closed down for the next several hours for Sabrina and her girls. Fatima, she's the next one to show up. She says that she hoped that it's okay that she came. And Sabrina and Danny didn't have a problem with it. Andy walks in next. She sees Fatima and she's like, well, I didn't know you were coming. We could have rode together. And I found that was kind of odd that Fatima didn't barge into Andy's office, because Miss Marie was long gone at this point, and she normally always goes in the office to say something. Fatima made it seem like there was a lot going on, and she wanted to drive her own car just in case something popped off anyway, which is fine. But I feel like the writers are trying to move the situation away from Andy with the Karen and Fatima situation and move it towards Danny for whatever reason. So the ladies, they assure Fatima that there will be no drama, that she's part of the friend group. She's engaged to Zach, which I don't know what that had to do with anything. But they're saying like 3 out of 4, you're part of the sister circle. And of course, that's when Karen walks in. She's kind of like another Hayden. They always hear everything. Like they could be around the corner, down the street, but they always catch that key statement. So she comes in already on 10, talking about, is that so? So her and Pam, they walk in and they have a seat, and already the vibe has changed. So they're drinking their smoothies. Danny decides she wants to add a little liquor to hers. Fatima wants to add something to hers, so Karen calls her selfish. So she's like, why I gotta be all that? So they start to going back and forth with that. So Danny, she tells Karen, you might want to stop being so evil before you mark them kids. So that's when Fatima decides to mumble that may or may not be his. Not sure why she mumbled that, and that just really set Karen off. So then Karen just went off saying, she was with Zach for 3 years. She don't have to explain her paternity, blah, blah, blah. Started all the bees, this and that, like she always does. Fatima's calling on Andy to try to calm things down. So Danny makes another comment about the paternity of the kids and tells Karen, just because we don't know who the father of those kids are doesn't mean you're the Virgin Mary. So Karen, she's had enough of Danny, and she goes off. So she stands up and she tells Danny, I don't even know why I bother to be friends with you anymore. And that's funny because season 1, episode 1, she said the exact same thing about Danny to Andy. So Karen has always felt this way. So instead of making this whole thing about Fatima, I would have preferred if it was strictly about Danny and Karen. Where did all this animosity between the two of them start? That's what we need to hear about. I wanted this whole little exchange to be something we found out, some new information as to why these two don't get along. Why are you tolerating someone for like 20 plus years? Why? It doesn't make sense. Let's not make it about Fatima, because this been going on long before she entered into the picture. So Karen brings up to Danny the fact that she let Zach move in with her when they were having problems, and then became friends with Fatima, who she claims won't allow Zach to be a father to his kids. And everybody named Mama know that's a damn lie. So we hear Pam chiming in saying she don't have to lie to you, Fatima. Fatima told her she needed to shut the F up. She don't know her like that. She is sparing Karen because she's pregnant, but she will tax that ass on Pam. Pam didn't give a damn that somebody said they would whoop her behind. She was more concerned with the fact that Fatima said she didn't know her. She's like, Google me. I'm an entrepreneur, B. So Richie comes over there trying to be a gentleman and make sure everybody was all right to calm things down. And they basically told him to go head on. And Karen over there talking about, ain't nobody call you over here. Don't nobody need no juice. And Sabrina was like, look, hey, don't be talking to my man like that. So Karen then she jumps down Sabrina's throat, asking her why she's always trying to fix things. And she tells her, just like certain relationships, they just run their course. So then she tells Fatima, look, you already got my man. What's a few more loose ends? Like, you might as well take my friends too. So she summons Pam to get up and let's go. And Andy was telling her, look, think about what you're saying. And Karen is like, I already have. With these babies on the way, I can't afford to spend time with people who don't care about my feelings. So Karen and Pam, they leave, and Sabrina wants to know, is anybody going to run and chase after Karen so they can coddle her? And Danny was like, F her. Like, I'm tired of trying to prove myself to somebody who could only see the evil in me. And then Danny agrees with Karen and says she might be right that this friendship is over. So maybe now when Danny goes back to another therapy session with Cretia, we can get a better understanding of where all of this stems from between her and Karen. So Andy, she gets a phone call from Jordan, and basically he's looking for Penelope and wanted to know had she heard from her, and she had not. But she doesn't, allude to anything going on, because remember, she has yet to tell Jordan anything about what she knows about Gary and that Penelope could be in danger. So she goes back to the table and lets Fatima know she needs her to ride with her somewhere. They need to go see a client. But Andy does tell Danny and Sabrina they're going to work things out later. So we go over there to Gary's office where he's minding his own business, acting completely unbothered after what he may or may not have done to Penelope and his unborn child. He's over there smoking cigars and drinking alcohol. When we get this ridiculous scene with Fatima and Andy storming in his office like they're getting ready to do something. Like, they're threatening him. Where is she? Asking where Penelope is. And, he is not fazed. This man is on booger sugar. This man is not going to be easily moved like that. Fatima taking out a knife, putting it all up to his neck. If anything, he probably was getting turned on. He move it up a little higher. Like Andy over there, like, oh no, Fatima. Like, come on now. Like, why are you there? And then Andy. She goes talking about, oh, I was the one helping her do this and do that. Like, why are you telling him everything? I'm like, this is stupid. This is really dumb as hell. Like, why are the two of you even there? This man does not care. He's yawning, laughing in your face, telling Fatima he's not scared of her, which he's not. We know he's not scared of Fatima. This man is on drugs. Come on now. The two of you need to just leave. So Karen, she makes it home and she gets a phone call from Pam. And Pam just was checking on her to, make sure she got there. And Karen thanks her for having her back earlier at Fuel. So Pam was like, no problem, I got you. I'll see you tomorrow. So they hang up. So immediately she gets another phone call. She thinks that it's Pam calling. So she just starts talking. And she realizes that it's Dr. Phillips from the hospital calling to give her paternity test results over the phone. Now, Karen was supposed to have a doctor's appointment in person in the office first thing that morning. Why the doctor is calling late in the evening is beyond me. But the doctor tells her she knows that she's probably antsy for these results. Karen feeling all cocky and so sure of herself, she's like, no, I'm not antsy because I already know who my baby daddy is. It's Zachary Taylor. And the doctor was like, yes, you're right. He is the father of one of the babies. And the doctor goes on to tell her that it's possible but rare to have fraternal twins that have two different fathers. and Karen is left speechless, and that's where this mid-season finale comes to an end. Woo, child. So basically, we already knew that Zach was going to be one of the fathers. We already guessed Aaron being the other one, especially when the picture got leaked a couple of weeks back. So it is what it is. One thing about it, she has 2 baby daddies that got plenty of money and they are willing to take care of their kids. So she shouldn't have a problem when it comes to the finances. So I don't know where the drama is going to stem from getting this news. Who knows? So what happens next with Danny and Karen? Is the friendship over or not? We don't know. Will we find out where Penelope is? Like, will Jordan get mad at Andy for not telling him what she should have been told him several episodes ago? And just how long will it be before the FBI or the police step down on Gary Borders? I mean, this is ridiculous. A whole half of a season goes by. We literally hear about the FBI in episode 1, and they vanish and disappear like Kimberly Potter and Penelope. Now make that make sense. This episode was written by Jamey Giddens. Drop down in the comments. Let me know what you guys thought of this mid-season finale. Thank you guys for rocking with me. Thanks for your support. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll catch you at the end of May when Sisters return for 7B. Peace.